On today's show, a specific free agent with some ties to people here in Philadelphia should the Sixers take a stab at him. Also, Tyrese Maxey working on perfecting every part of his game. We'll take a look at that and a whole bunch more. Let's break it all down.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into Philly Take with RB. You know what to do. Hit that like button if you enjoy this content. Subscribe to the show. Hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of the videos or live streams. And to help us spread this content to other great Sixers fans like yourselves, welcome on in. You know what today is. One more day closer to the start of Sixers training camp. I cannot wait. We have some updates on that. And we'll talk about a bunch of things, a potential free agent, Tyrese Maxey. I want all of your thoughts on it down below in the comments section. Today, we have to start it with the news, man. A little more add-on to what we had previously, and that is an update. That is right, Sixers announcing that their media day will take place on September 26th in their Camden facility at 10 a.m. Of course, we'll be breaking all that down here on the channel. And we'll be talking about the entire training camp. As you can see, September 27th to October 2nd. In case you missed it, this will be in South Carolina at the McAllister Fieldhouse. Doc Rivers taking the team on a little road trip and trying to get them locked in. So I'm excited to see how all of that plays out. But yeah, man, can't wait. Couple more weeks until we get into it. But with that being said, before we talk about our guys, let's talk about a certain something that happened today. Very interesting if you take a think about it. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting earlier today that free agent forward Montrezl Harrell had felony charges of marijuana trafficking reduced to a misdemeanor possession in a Madison County courthouse. Charges will be expunged from his record after 12 months if Harrell gets in no further legal trouble. And then an add-on to that, Woj says the change in Harrell's legal status should start to clarify where he lands in free agency for the 22-23 season. As you know, he has been a free agent. He was traded last offseason, spent a year with the Hornets, probably one of his worst years yet, and then he got into all this legal trouble, and honestly, it's kind of spiraled downhill over the last couple years from Harrell. I'm not saying he's not still a productive player, but it is interesting when you start to think about all the chatter going on now, right? I heard a lot of people today saying, oh, well, there's a lot of ties in Philadelphia and, you know, certain players are starting to go off the market now. Certain trades are happening after the whole KD thing. So, you know, Montrezl Harrell is probably going to end up getting picked up within the next couple weeks before training camp. And a lot of people are bringing up certain comparisons. Now, let's talk about Montrezl Harrell. Here are his stats. As you can see, this past year, 11.4 points per game, and he hauled in just under 5 rebounds per game. As you can see, his totals have kind of been going down the last couple years. He's only 28 years old. I feel like Montrezl Harrell is a lot older when I think about him, but he was drafted back in 2015 at the end of the first round by who? By Daryl Morey. That's connection number 1. Connection number 2. His best years, when he won a 6th Man of the Year, I believe, came under who? Doc Rivers. And connection number 3, who did he play with in Houston? James Harden, Montrezl Harrell. That's when he really started to make a name for himself. He was included in that Chris Paul trade. Daryl Morey traded Montrezl Harrell to help acquire Chris Paul and pair him up with James Harden. We all remember that. But Montrezl Harrell started to make a name for himself, and then he went to the Clippers. As you can see here, his best couple years, averaging 16, 18 a game. He could give you 7 rebounds. This was all off the bench. He was really becoming a productive player. And I remember back when he went to the Lakers a couple years ago, he was a guy I wanted in free agency. He was a guy that was highly coveted. He signed a big contract. And then what happened? He talked about being misused in LA. Obviously, they had Anthony Davis, and things just started to go downhill a little bit. And the last couple years, he's just bounced around, right, with Washington, with Charlotte. But, you know, Montrezl Harrell, given the right opportunity, he probably still could be a productive player. Now, obviously, he needs to stay out of legal trouble. He needs to keep his head right, and maybe being in a good situation will do that. But, you know, some of his best playing years came when he was with the Rockets and when he was with the LA Clippers under Doc Rivers. Should the Sixers potentially take a look into him, at least bring him in for camp, try to, see if he can make the team? I'm sure, he could help this team in a couple different ways. I'm sure there will also be, some cons to that, which we will discuss. The main thing for me is, am I going to lose sleep if the Sixers don't go and try to sign Montrezl Harrell? No, I'm not. But do I think he would be at least a decent addition to give a try to? Yeah, I do, for the following reasons. Number one, I don't think there will be a lot of risk involved. I don't see personally Montrezl Harrell getting some big contract, especially after he's been involved with some of these troubles and given the fact that, last year was probably one of his worst. I don't see any team giving him a bag. I think, could end up being a minimum, honestly, for Montrezl Harrell, who years ago you would have had to pay a premium to get. In addition to that, I think it could be high rewarding, again, coming to a better situation, coming to a team that could contend, and also helping the Sixers with one of our biggest deficiencies, which is, we need more aggression and more rebounding, right? We need guys that are going to hit the hole, guys that can play around the rim, especially coming off the second unit, and can go up and grab us 5 to 7 boards a game. We know Harrell and the Sixers had a couple scuffles the last year or two, but at the end of the day, just in line with everybody else, just like PJ Tucker, this guy's a dog, right? He's going to bark. He's going to scream. He's going to bring that energy. He's a high efficiency energy type of guy off the bench, and he's going to bring that attitude. And those are all positives that I think could suit this Sixers team. The other thing that I think he would do is, again, just, be able to supply more of a pick and roll game, especially off the second unit. Him and Harden used to have a little bit of a pick and roll connection. He used to be a lob threat. Who knows if he can still get up like that, but I do know he would definitely help us, at least in terms of the inside game coming in, and he can also play a bit of the backup 5, which is something that we are currently looking into. Maybe we rock with the young guys, but maybe having a Montrezl Harrell that could kind of, switch between the two, the 4 and the 5 would be good. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on Montrezl Harrell. The biggest con I see is, given the fact he's a Doc Rivers guy, bringing him in, I could just see Doc Rivers going right to him, giving him the hand, and, just overplaying him without him earning more minutes. And I could definitely see that interfering with, again, the development of some of our young guys. And obviously Harrell can't shoot, so, you don't want to have to play him too many minutes where he could be a liability. But anyway, definitely an interesting thing to look at, and his free agent market will probably heat up now. So we'll see what happens with that. The other things we need to talk about, Tyrese Maxey, shout out to the Instagram page. Be sure you are following at Philly Take with RB. This is Tyrese Maxey the other day working on his handles. This kid is working on every part of his game. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see the jump once again from Tyrese Maxey. I think this kid, in terms of what I'm seeing over this offseason, is working on trying to craft every part of his game, just trying to get better, learning from the playoff mistakes, and just becoming a smarter ball player. I'm really excited to see what he can do in year 3. If he can start getting handles like this, create that separation, and start knocking down from the range we were seeing at the end of last year, this kid is going to be special, man. He's going to be really special. This was what Tyrese Maxey said on the Phillies broadcast last week. He flew in, did an interview with them. Great kid, by the way. He was getting adored there and at the Union game. He said he's focusing on self-creation this offseason, which leads me to another offseason clip from last week of Tyrese Maxey. He's out here shooting. He's out here knocking down shots and also working, once again, on creating separation off the dribble. I'm telling you, man, 4 or 5 years down the road, who knows what this kid could turn into. I'm just so excited he's here right now. And the best thing about him, again, it's like a broken record, but he is willing to work. He is willing to get better. And he has already catered to an entire city, man. And he's working on things like this, adding to his bag. The offensive Tyrese Maxey this upcoming season could be very, very dangerous to a lot of teams, especially when you need to account for Joel Embiid and James Harden and other guys on this team. So I just can't wait to see what this kid can do. But just a little update on Maxey. We constantly are seeing footage of him, and he is working, man. He is working. I want to end off today by just talking about a couple other things around the league very quickly. Number one, Markieff Morris has signed with the Brooklyn Nets on a 1-year deal. In my opinion, I don't think there was a lot of interest in him. He had talked about wanting to come home to Philadelphia. I guess we didn't want him. I don't know what the contract details were, but he goes to the Brooklyn Nets. So shout out to him. I still don't think the Nets are going to be anything crazy. But yeah, shout out to the hometown kid, Markieff Morris, and he's off the market, as you know, are a couple other names. The last thing I want to talk about is Pat Bev, Russell Westbrook, just something around the league. Apparently, there's talks about them staying on the same team. I don't really buy it. I do think Westbrook will get moved. But I just want to say, man, Pat Bev, you should have came to Philadelphia, man. I know it's not your fault. I know you got traded. There was no other options. There was nothing you could do. But, man, it's going to be very interesting as a basketball fan. Obviously, I'm a diehard Sixers fan, but as a basketball fan, if they do keep these two together to see how they play, because, man, talk about a lack of shooting, man. Talk about aggressiveness, attitude. I could just see that Lakers thing just going in all different directions, just like putting all the chemicals into the pot and boom, exploding, man. It could be very, very toxic. Of course, they're going to talk them up and say that the Lakers are back. I don't know, man, but it'll be interesting to see. I do wish we could have somehow landed Pat Bev, but good luck to him in LA. Anyway, those are my thoughts on everything. I want to hear from you down below in the comments section. If you're a Sixers fan out there listening right now, would you inquire about Montrezl Harrell and his services? Give me your thoughts. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you on the next one, man. Peace.
Perfect.